now let's transition over to our Savage Slump Watch. And you don't want to pile on too much in a 5-1 start to the season, but there are some players that we got to talk about that haven't
Hmm.
been good to start the year, but clearly it's very early.
Mistake.
I'm going to go with Ryan McMahon for mine. I think Ryan McMahon is a bit of a wild card in my opinion. I wasn't
Yeah,
overly
that's
sold
fair.
on when I talked to you over last year, I wasn't that sold on him. I know the defense was good, but now as we've seen him spiking throws a bit, that's going to allow the noise to get louder and it's going to get a little more challenging for him. And we've already seen it this early that where Ahmed Rosario is meant to hit against lefties, that he's coming in against righties, and that's because Ryan McMahon hasn't been playing well. So
Yeah.
in 15 at bats, he's batting 067, a 176 on base percentage, and a 243 OPS. Now, this is only 15 at bats in. He's only played, I think it was four, 5 games.
Yeah.
So this
17
is
plate
I
appearances.
as early on as it may be, and you can disagree with me. I think that hit essentially. I don't think his spot is cemented for himself. I
I
think
think that's
that
fair. We
I
talked about maybe them trading him this offseason too.
I exactly. We as
Or
recently as
this
this
past
offseason,
offseason.
yeah, as recently as this past offseason, we were talking about could they move McMahon? And I don't. I think if the offense was always a was a wild card. He's a 736 OPS career guy, but we expected the defense to always be there. But these first
Mhm.
few games, the defense has frustrated Yankee fans, spiking some throws in front of first base, not being necessarily what we thought was the Gold Glove level player that we were getting. So if you're telling me that if he's not hitting and then the defense is also not what we were signing up for, Yankee
Mhm.
fans are probably going to be pretty frustrated about it. And it's not all that surprising. It's kind of the same story that we had previously in a different way, but with Anthony Volpe, where, okay, we were saying the offense isn't there, but then once the defense starts to go, you say, I'm not really
Now
getting
you're worth
behind.
nothing.
Now you're not doing much for us. So it's essentially the same dynamic with Ryan McMahon, different position, a little older, not a
Yeah, how
prospect.
long of a leash he gets.
So
Yeah.
you don't, and he's not going to have the same leash as Anthony Volpe because we know that the love there is much greater with the Yankees, and they're going to trot him out. But I think that the Band-Aid would be easier to rip off, and if he doesn't continue to play or doesn't start playing well, and I know it's April. And there's going to be a lot more time for him to correct it. And I could be coming back on this podcast next week and he's better. But I think that's one candidate for me that I'm saying, ooh, he may not stick around as long as we maybe thought he would. So as if
Yeah.
he's playing like this. So that's my 2 cents.
Um, I can't totally disagree with anything. I don't think his spot's necessarily guaranteed. If the defense wavers, that's terrible. And then yeah, offensively, if he kind of, keeps on track with what he's been as a Yankee, not going to be great. But I'm not going to stress about the defense yet. I'll give him that. But
That's fair.
it just can't continue, which is easier said than done.